Hi everyone, welcome to channel. Today we are going to discuss the top 7 GitHub repositories for a beginner.
This is the first repository by Microsoft. As a beginner, if you have to start learning on the concepts of generative AI, this is the best repository you can find. A comprehensive guide designed for those who are new to generative AI. It's a well-structured tutorial and resources that covers the complete basics of artificial intelligence and machine learning with focus on generative models like generative adversarial networks and transformers. This begins with an introductory lessons on machine learnings and deep learning, progressively build on complex generative AI models. This include practical examples, coding exercises, and project ideas. This is a beginner friendly, aiming to help learners grasp the fundamentals of AI, whether it's generating text, images, or other medias. Here you can see some of the list of the classes where you can go through the concepts of generative AI, the list of lessons, and the link is provided. Also, there are a list of video where you have to, where if you need to understand it better and some of the extra learning concepts, and each link is provided in a structured manner. And also in the below, you can see some of the other courses that is from Microsoft. So this is the best repository as a beginner if you have to start learning the concepts of generative AI from Microsoft. And the second repository is the Google Cloud's Generative AI repository, which offers resources to help developers build, train, and deploy the complete generative AI models using Google Cloud services. It showcases examples like text and image generation and highlights the use of Vertex AI, Google Cloud's ML platform, machine learning platform for scalable AI development. The repository number 3 by Steven, which is Awesome Generative AI. This is a repository which is well organized, curated list of tools, libraries, and resources related to generative AI. It includes a valuable links to frameworks, models, datasets, and one-stop source for anyone interested in learning and advancing the knowledge in the field of generative AI. If you go through this repository, you can find some of the recommended readings on the research papers of generative AI, some of the milestones, models which related to text generation, chatbots, custom interfaces, search engines, local search engines, writing assistants, and some of them related to coding. The coding assistants, GitHub Copilot, OpenAI, and many more are here. Some of the developer tools are here. And with respect to agents, there are autonomous agents. And with respect to the image generation, there are some of the models, services, and the design image libraries, and a lot of the uh, resources are present here with respect to the concepts of generative AI. So this is the one-stop solution repository if you want to go through the concepts of generative AI by Steven. This another repository by Filipe Calegario on the awesome generative AI. This is a repository where you can find the generative AI tools, works, models, and references. You can start off by knowing the history of what generative AI is, and timelines, maps, and definitions. All the necessary links are provided here. You can go through these links, understand the topics of what generative AI is, the history of generative AI with different parts, large language models, and the uses, timelines of AI language models, and a review of generative AI from a historical perspective. So this explains you on how the generative AI has been an impactful one, and some of the ethics, philosophical questions, and discussions on the concepts of generative AI, critical views about generative AI, and all the necessary links are provided here. So this is one repository where you can understand the theoretical concepts and the requirement of what generative AI is from a larger perspective. This is the repository number 5 on learning the concepts of generative AI, which is well organized educational resources aiming at helping developers dive into the world of generative AI. This also includes tutorials, lesson plans, project examples, covers areas like text and image generation, offers a very well structured learning path, and some of the hands-on project concepts of generative AI. You can see how well the organization of this repo, and you can understand it through the images and some of the generative AI and the economy. Chat GPT API or correctly Open API endpoints, Assistant APIs. What is OPL stack in AI? What are the future of generative AI and other different topics on text generation, image generation, audio and music generation. Provides the complete list of resources, references, community collaboration, and some of the real world applications. You can see some of the links for the books on the concepts of generative AI also here. So this is also one repository. You can find some of the 3 projects here on the concepts of generative AI. So this is one of the best repository to check on with respect to generative AI. This is a generative AI papers GitHub repository by Kevin Knights. Is a curated collection of research papers focused on generative AI. Comprehensive overview of what this repository is. It explains some of the goals, scope, and context. And here you can see the list of all the research paper. Contains more than 100 research papers on the concepts of generative AI. And if you ask me why this repository on generative AI, it has the purpose of providing easy access to the significant research papers in the field of AI. And the papers are categorized by various themes and topics within the generative AI facilitating users navigation and helping them find relevant research quickly. And it have the very diverse topics on GANs, VAEs, language models, and text generation. And entry typically includes the title of paper, author, publication year, and the link to the paper. And it always provide regular updates, references, and also some of the most useful educational resources. So this is one of the repository to learn on the concepts of generative AI through papers, the research papers. It contains more than 100 research papers on the concepts of generative AI.